So I started seeing a lot of reviews on the Honda Navi on YouTube, and I thought, this looks interesting. People seem to be really having a good time with this machine, and it seemed to be very economical, extremely easy to maintain compared to my CBR 125, which I have to completely take apart in order to set the valves on it. And I needed something that wasn't going to be so stressful to maintain. So I thought this is an ideal thing. So I went to a dealer. He had one here, 2022, and this is 2026, in which I bought it. So 4-year-old bike for next to nothing. And on this side of it, it's got that forest green color, and it looked pretty good. It was waiting for some carburetor seals because the carburetor got gunked up and they had to clean it. On this side, it's this nut brown color, and the headlight is yellow, and so it's kind of mix and match. And I decided to go with the red plastic kit for this bike, and I couldn't believe the price they were selling it for. I thought, well, it's just within my budget, so I looked at the speedometer here, and it only had 3 kilometers on it, so it was basically sitting there for 4 years. So then, as I was checking the bike out, I saw this little yellow tag hanging off on the side of the bike here. And for those of you who know about motorcycles, Optimet makes this charger that you can plug in there. It's a trickle charger, and it'll charge the battery up to 13.5 volts, shut off. And then when the voltage drops down low enough, it'll turn on and trickle charge it back up. So you never have to worry about the battery sitting there going dead and sulfating, and then you basically have to throw the battery out. So I thought, wow, I've got one of these Optimet chargers for my CBR 125. I thought, this is ideal. I can just plug that in and keep it charged up over the winter. And everything on this bike is so easy to maintain and repair. So we're in the middle of winter when I bought this bike, and snowing off and on, and I got a nice sunny day, and I thought, yeah, maybe I'll take the bike over to the bakery and get some scones for my coffee. I thought, yeah, that'll be ideal. I can go and see if how big the storage compartment on the bike is, and that'll be a quick trip. Costs a lot less in gas using that bike than starting up the car. So I thought, yeah, it's a nice sunny day. I think I'll go over and get some scones for my coffee. And so this is my first Navi ride to the bakery. First time I'm using this. And there we go. Plenty big enough to hold all the yummies. Wow. That is so handy. Okay, in you go. Look. Steering is locked, and we're at 28.5. Excellent. Some people say the taillight flickers a lot, but it seems on some videos the light's almost out when it's idling. But I just idle up, and it's actually not bad. This lever is the kickstarter. When the bike is off the center stand and you have the engine running, if you try to put the bike on the center stand by using the lever to push down with your foot, you're most likely going to engage the kickstarter, which will cause damage if the engine is running. There should be much more room between the center stand when it's up and the kickstarter, but Honda put them very close together. So be very careful you don't hit both at the same time when the engine is running. So this is my Honda Navi 2022, brand new. Just got over 50 kilometers on it. I'm just going through my first tank of gas, which is pretty cool. And that's carburetors in behind all that rubber there.
fan for cooling, and of course you got car style wheels. You just undo the bolts and you can slide the wheel out. And of course the Navi's famous box for storing things. Great. And of course the fuel tank is in there. As you can see, I'm getting down to the refill mark. I'm at 66 kilometers on it now. Wow. That's choke, that's a high beam. There's the high beam on, the high beam off. Turn signals, push in to turn them off, and beeper. Stop button, start button. And when I first got it, it wouldn't idle very well, so I adjusted the idle speed up. I think it's idling pretty good now. It's a nice bright halogen headlight. And it's a beautiful bike. It's even got a reserve tank on there. And my last trip, I did bakery goods. Went and got some scones. Threw it in there, very handy. I like the nice red handrail, and wow, it cruises along very nicely. It accelerates quite quickly. You don't even have to crank on full throttle to get her up to speed. And so far I'm only running it up to about 60 kilometers an hour. Yeah, during the break-in here. And beep beep. It's a beep beep. It works. I like this bar across here because I can probably put a bicycle handlebar mounted bag on there. And of course it's got a very nice gas cap there. You open it up and you can actually got a place right in here. Put your gas cap while you're refueling it. And yeah, I'm getting down to empty, so I think I will head off now and go fuel up, because it's getting that time of the day. The snow's coming in. Probably won't get out to ride for a few more days, so I'm just toughing it out in the cool weather, although it's not so bad with cycling gear on. Anyway, I'm off. Time to go do my ride and finish it. So I had about 74.1 kilometers on it at this point, so I decided to go over and gas up because the gas gauge was getting way down there. And so I filled it up, and it worked out to 31.46 kilometers per liter, which rounds up to about 89 miles per gallon imperial, which is not bad for a brand new bike that isn't even broken in yet. It's barely got any miles on it, and yet already I'm seeing really good gas mileage on this. On my CBR 125, I usually get around 110, 120, but this is not bad for a small bike. The one strange thing with the Navi is the dash. Here it is in daylight, and you can see the numbers are black, and then the red line going around with red numbers on the inside near the odometer. And this is what it looks like during the daytime. But as it gets darker, you'll see the black lettering now turns reddish, and it looks pretty cool. I like it during the daytime. The color is good during the daytime. But once it starts getting darker, you get more and more difficulty trying to actually read the speedometer. So now you see it's getting dark and the numbers are all turning red, a very blurry kind of red that makes it very difficult to actually read when it gets dark. And now we're going to switch to the nighttime view. So when it gets really dark, this is what it looks like. Everything is blurred together. The numbers are just sort of become one big blurry spot on the dash, and it's almost impossible to read it. I don't know how they managed to do this, but it makes it virtually impossible at night to actually read the numbers. But during the day, no problem. You can see the black lettering on the speedometer, and once you have lights shining on it, then the numbers become red, and then the darker it gets, the blurrier the whole thing gets, and you can't read any of the numbers on here. They're just one big blurry mess, which makes it very dangerous at night if you're trying to figure out what your speed is, because you can stare at it for 5 minutes and it's not going to get any better. So other than the kickstand and kickstarter issue and the dash, the other oddball thing is the fuel valve, which is very difficult to figure out because the on symbol, the off symbol, the reserve is the same color as the plastic, so it makes it very difficult to figure out what those things are. The way to remember it is that little notch in the uh, fuel valve handle there. That tells you what you're pointing to. If it's pointing down, you're on full. If it's pointing up, you're on reserve. If it's sideways, you have the gas turned off. And so with this, you can turn it off, drain the carburetor during the winter, and never have to worry about the carburetor getting filled up with gunk because it's been sitting there all winter. The seat's quite comfortable, but this is an economical version of a motorcycle, and there is a bit of slop when I pull up in the seat. But it engages quite well. The seat is latched down good, and it's quite comfortable. I haven't found any issue with riding it around for an hour, although some people do find the seat a little bit hard. So the gas tank fuel cover there is interesting because you open it up and there's a little place in there right under where the key goes in, and when you remove your fuel cap you can just sit it in that little round indentation there, and it'll hold your fuel cap while you're fueling so you don't drop it. Motorcycles don't do that. You usually have to find some place to stick it while you're fueling it, but they thought of everything on here. And there's even some room under the cover there that you could probably carry a few small things there if you need extra room, keys or whatever, that kind of a thing. Yeah, the looks of it are really interesting. You can see the exhaust sticks out quite a bit on the side, and that allows you to remove the rear wheel. It's bolted on just like a car wheel is, so back wheels are usually the ones you get the flats on most of the time, and this one is very easy to take the wheel off. The front is a little bit more. You got to undo both sides of the axle and drop it out there. But everything on this bike is very easy to get at, and that's the main selling point. Every time I think about spending 2 days hauling plastic off of my CBR 125 to do a valve job, and wow, it's a lot of stress. I really don't like going through that. With this bike, everything is easily accessible, and it uses a belt drive. It's got that huge air cleaner you can see on the left side of the bike there, and that thing it goes for thousands and thousands of miles. I think it's 10,000 or 12,000 miles or something like that before you even have to change it. So wow, I mean, regular bike you're looking at like 2,500 miles or 4,000 kilometers having to replace the filter or get it blown out and replace it every I don't know, 8,000 at the outset. But this one big filter, change it 10, 12,000 and you're good. Hardly any maintenance required to keep it going. The brakes are linked together with the foot peg, so you don't need to use the front brake lever. You can just use the foot peg to stop if you want. They're drum brakes, so drum brakes require more effort, more pressure on the brake levers and foot peg to make them work. But they work quite well. I've never had a problem. They stop just as good as a disc brake. Disc brakes, of course, people get lazy with them because they are sometimes a little bit too strong. You can go over the handlebars on it if you're not careful. But with these ones, it's much better, more stable braking performance, even when it's wet. And you got a halogen headlight on there. Good size fenders to keep you dry, because if you look at most motorcycles, um, the front fender is basically at axle height, so everything else gets thrown up on the motor. When you think of how much money you're spending, you know, hundreds of dollars every time you do tune-up, 700 for one tune-up. On this bike here, you can do it yourself inside 5 minutes. Change the oil and you're done, right? The other, like a CBR 125, you got to haul the engine apart to get at the oil filter. It's insane.